Hey everybody, thanks for clicking that thumbnail. Welcome to Talking Habs. In today's video, I'm going to talk about Tomas Tatar. I'm going to try to, because this is like my 50th take, but we're going to get it this time. So I'm going to talk about Tomas Tatar and what the Montreal Canadiens should be doing with him. That's the big question, what to do with Tomas Tatar. He is an unrestricted free agent next season. So what do you do? Do you let him go for nothing? Do you trade him or do you re-sign him? And that's the question here. I'm going to try to answer it. And before we get to that, if you are a Habs fan like I am and new to the channel or you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, ring that notifications bell. That'll get you your daily fix of Blue, Blanc, Rouge right here at Talking Habs. Please leave any comments you may have about this video or about the guy that's doing the video in the comment section. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. And let's get right into it. So there's stats on the board. We'll get to that. And this is an opinion piece. I haven't really done a script in a while, so bear with me. I'm going to read a script and make some comments along the way. So Tomas Tatar was a throw-in, the Max Pacioretty to Las Vegas. They're not Las Vegas Golden Knights. He was a throw-in because basically it was a trade to get Nick Suzuki and I guess the draft pick. And they threw in a player that they needed to move because if they're going to acquire Pacioretty, they wanted to sign him to an extension, and they were against the cap, and they needed to move somebody to make that work. And Tatar was a player they had recently acquired from Detroit for a big price, first, second, and third round draft pick. So it's not a small price, and he just wasn't a fit there in Vegas. It wasn't a fit. I don't know whether it was they didn't really try to make it a fit or it really wasn't a fit. But when he came to Montreal, boy, oh boy, it was a fit. In his first season here, he set a career high for him, 80 games, 25 goals, 33 assists, 58 points. And then in the following season, which was last season, he made it even better. In 68 games, 22 goals, 39 assists for 61 points. In the shortened season, if that would have gone to the full 82 games, would have got probably 70 points. So a big high for his career. So he's now in the last year of his contract that's been paying him $5.3 million AAV, but Montreal only pays $4.8 million because Vegas retains $500,000 on his contract. So he's having a slower start this season. His production is down, and my theory is that a lot of players like Tatar, who've been in the league the same amount of years as Tatar, you kind of know what you're going to get from him. He was basically in the high 40s into the low 50s. That was his normal range, and then he had this big jump. A lot of times, and you can look at Matt Duchene is one guy that I can just point out that we almost signed. The next season is a drop. And this is what it's looking like, because this would be about 47, 48 points in an 82-game schedule. So it's a decrease. So, which culminated in this healthy scratch that on Saturday, right? So in the matchup with the Leafs, it was in Toronto against the division leader and the oldest rival Montreal has, and you'd figure that's a game you're going to want Tomas Tatar in there, hopefully to help you and get some points. So it was odd that they had scratched him, and I was doing a live stream, and that was the question, that this is kind of odd. Why would they do that? Must be a trade happening. Got to hold him out because there's something happening. It's not what it was. So official word came from CJ, which Claude Julien, that it was performance related and meant to send a message to Tatar and the team that the bar is raised here in Montreal this season with the depth that's here. And the team expects a lot from everyone, including Tatar. So this was confirmed by Marc Bergevin in a news conference just a couple of days after, I think it was Monday. I'm filming this on Friday. And he confirmed that that's what it was. So it really does beg the question of what are the Habs' plans for Tatar going forward? So asked about this recently, that was in a little presser as well, some kind of media thing. Tatar said, I'm not too worried about it. I've played my years in the league, and if you do things right, this kind of stuff takes care of itself. So in other words, he knows he needs to play through this and things will get better. And he knows once that happens, the contract negotiation, whatever is going to happen, it'll take care of itself. He's been around long enough to know how those things work. So it was the expected answer because, hockey players are not usually very controversial anyway. But the situation in Montreal isn't as simple as if I play good, I get paid. it all works out. Because there's more at play here than just performance to decide a player's future with the Montreal Canadiens. So with the depth, with everything here, with the salary situations coming up in the next couple of years, it's not just that, oh, I scored a ton of points. Wasn't a ton, but, I got 60 points. Give me $6 million. A team might not be able to afford that. And we'll talk about that, but Brendan Gallagher, you'll say, well, look what he got. There's reasons why Brendan Gallagher got that other than his points. I think I mentioned that here. These are a lot of important players, or there are a lot of important players to re-sign in the next 2-3 seasons. I think I just said that. And term and dollar value will be the most important aspect in re-signing Tomas Tatar in particular. Another factor has to be Tyler Toffoli. In both the fact that Tyler Toffoli signed a 4-year, $4.25 million AAV contract, which is quite a bit, like it's $1 million less than what Tatar's making right now. And you'd figure he'd be looking for more. So that's got to come into play. And the fact that Toffoli, how did I put it now, can replace Tatar on the top 2 lines, relegating Tatar to a third-line role if that happens. And it was kind of proven out by the game against Toronto where Toffoli basically did that, and he did well. He got a goal and an assist, I believe. If Tatar's not there, he can be, Toffoli can replace him, and Toffoli's play can actually move him down in the lineup, and maybe he can't demand as much money. I mean, that's an effect that can happen. Gallagher's new contract of $6.5 million AAV kicks in next season as well. And you have a situation where it's more important than ever to be responsible to the cap. So now we'll get to Gallagher. This list of players right here on the board are all forwards signed in the last 2 seasons and in the same age range, 28 to 32. So there's what term they got and the dollar value that they signed for and the production they got the season before they signed the big contract. So no one on this list scored more points than Tatar in 19-20. So last season, the shortened one, nobody on this list got more than 61 points. The closest was Mike Hoffman at 59 points. So kind of shows that it's not always about points. And for some of these players, their value to their teams goes beyond points. And that's where we'll bring up Anders Lee, Gallagher, and Kreider. If you look at their points totals, 51. Although Lee, I believe, scored 40 like 2 seasons before that. But 51 points, Gallagher 43 points, Kreider 45. So it's definitely not that they got, look at their contracts. 7 years, $7 million, 6 years, $6.5, 7 years, $6.5. Did they get paid that kind of money because of the points or because they bring something else to the team? I can speak really for, I kind of know Anders Lee's like that. He's a good leader. Kreider, I just don't like him but whatever. But Gallagher, he brings more than his points totals and everything he does, his heart and soul of the team, that drive that he's got, that commitment to playing hard all the time and never giving up. That's what he brings. That's what he got paid for. That there's a difference there. Now, I'm going to lose myself here. I said all that. As an example, which is what I said. So, no, I said all that. In all these cases, Tatar's superior point production won't necessarily mean he gets more money than they did. And the proof lies in Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman, where he's here, Hoffman. 1 year, $4 million in 69 games, 29 goals, 30 assists, 59 points. Hoffman wanted to be with a contender in St. Louis. He didn't want to sign with although look how well Florida's doing now, but he didn't want to sign with a team that really didn't have a shot. And in order to do that, he had to take a very short term and less money than he was looking for. Apparently, he was looking for over 6. So, that's a case in point right there. That Tatar is probably wanting to get 6, 6.5, but he's not going to get that here in Montreal anyway. He'll have to go to somewhere where they have the cap space, but they're not a contender because most of the contenders, the guys that you'll win with, don't have the cap space. They just don't have it. So to stay in Montreal, Tatar would undoubtedly have to sign shorter term for less than he's making right now. Before the COVID era, Tatar probably was looking at signing 5 or 6 years and maybe around, what, 6.5. Probably. I don't think you get more than that, but maybe 5.5. Well, I think it would be more than that. But, 6 million, 6.5. That's what I would think. And it's much like the deal Gallagher signed for next season. He probably would have got something similar to that. So that is if the cap was going up, which it's not. With a flat cap Montreal can't afford a deal like that. So does Tatar want to remain in Montreal, or does he test the free agent market for the first time and maybe the last time that he can maximize his earnings? So at his age, 30, he signs a 5-6 year deal. He might not get that kind of money again in a free agent situation, right? So this is a time for him to maximize, but it's a bad time to get the money from a good team. So you can maximize, but you're going to kind of be on a shitty team, and I don't know that he wants to do that. Or does he sign a short 1 or 2 year deal like Hoffman did and stay in Montreal? And conversely, does Montreal even want to do that? So we don't even know. But it seems like Montreal would like to be able to keep Tatar, but we don't know for sure. But the term and the money are going to be very, very important. So consider... I don't have to do that. This is the decision Montreal is facing. Sign him, trade him, or let him walk into free agency. If they sign him to a Toffoli-like deal, I'm going to give my opinion of what that should be. But, a low, probably even less term, but, low money. They risk having to protect him or lose him to Seattle in the expansion draft. Maybe they'd want to do that, I don't know. But if you sign him, you're limited how many you can protect. Will Tatar be protected? I don't know. And he could be selected by Seattle, especially, if it's a low term and low dollar deal. Unless they work out a deal, obviously, for next season, but leave it unsigned. I said this before, so you work out a deal with him, you leave it unsigned, until after the free agency period. They don't have to protect him. And if Seattle selects him, he just has to wait. It's like a week and a half. Free agent period starts and he can sign back here in Montreal. So they can do that. And it's not tampering because the tentative deal is worked out while he's still a Montreal Canadien. And it's only signed after when he's a free agent. And he can change his mind, right? So what if he, somebody calls the agent, we are offering this, and it's from a good team. He could sign with them and not sign. So it's a risk still for Montreal, but you don't have to protect him, and it's much less risk, and you could get him back. I said that. So yeah, if he wants to stay here in Montreal, he's going to have to sign for less term and for less money. So, listen, he's still young. At 30, say he signs 1 or 2 year contract, he's still only going to be 31, 32. He can still, if the cap goes up, he can still get a good deal. It's not, so it's not as much of a risk as signing a long-term, low-money contract, which I don't think they'll do. If Montreal feels they can't re-sign Tatar, and don't want to lose him with absolutely no return, they'll have no choice left except to trade him for either a player or players that can help the team this season. And I have bad writing. I read well. It's just my writing sucks. So that can help the team this season and playoffs, or for picks and or prospects. It might be easier said than done in this year of COVID. So will Canadian teams trade amongst themselves? Because more than likely, if you're going to trade him at the deadline, he's not going to go to the States and maybe have some kind of quarantine. And then, how much time is there at that point for him to help that team before the playoffs? So, it'd probably be a Canadian team where he won't have to quarantine at all. But will they be trading amongst themselves or not? I don't know. Or will they be willing to deal with quarantines, like I just said, and then you lose your guy, and then if you trade it to get somebody to come back and help, you're losing that guy for 14 days. So there's a bit of a hole in the lineup. If as fully expected, the Habs are looking to be playoff bound, and I think we all expect that Montreal is going to be playoff bound. So I expect Montreal will want him on the team to help them make it all the way and take their chances on their ability to re-sign him in the off season if they choose to do so. If they can't re-sign him, they lose him with no reason. That's kind of similar to saying, well, then just negotiate with him now, leave it unsigned and wait. It is, except there's no negotiations going on, apparently nothing. So, you know, so maybe this is, you know, you just keep him, let him decide what he's going to do. And you can negotiate with him, obviously, when he's a free agent. So maybe that's what they do. If in doing that they win the cup, then, you know, losing Tatar for no return will be worth it. And you could say that the return was winning the cup. So however it works out, Tatar was a throw-in. You got to remember that. Tatar was, that's why I said in the beginning, he was a throw-in. Kind of like free money, you know? It's kind of like, you know, you haven't worn a coat for like 2 years. You stick your money, your hand in the pocket, and you pull out say $100, 20, but whatever it is, that's free money. Right? It's kind of what Tatar is. So if you lose him for nothing but he's helped you to win a Stanley Cup, it was worth it in the end. That's to me. I won't lose any sleep over it. I can live with that. I'm fine with that. So now, that's the question. What do you do? Do you sign him? Do you wait? Take a chance in free agency? Do you trade him? I don't really have the answer for what they'll do, but I'll tell you this. I don't think they're going to trade him. And I don't think they're going to re-sign him right away. I think it would be the option of you make that deal, put it in the drawer, don't have to protect him, and then deal with what happens after. That's what I think. So what would I sign him to? What would I sign him to? I would sign Tatar if he would take it. I don't think more than 2 years. So I'm going to put 1 to 2 years. Because I think you can go year by year. I don't think anything wrong with that, especially with the flat cap and all that. But at maximum 2 years. And honestly, I don't think team can afford it. More 4.5. I think that's the max he can take here in Montreal. With all the contracts coming up that they have to sign, I don't see how they can offer him more than that. Because it's going to be a problem, right? You've got, next year, you've got KK. Dino and Tatar. No, but there's contracts. There's a lot of contracts in the next 2 and 3 years for them to sign, and they have to be very responsible on this cap. And I think that's the limit. I don't think they can sign them. And I think they wait. Same thing with Dino. I think they wait till the season's done. They don't have to protect them, and they sign them as a free agent. So there you go. That's my opinion of what's going to happen with Tomas Tatar. And that's the question. What do you do with Tomas Tatar? I don't think they trade him at the deadline. I don't think they re-sign him during the season so they don't have to protect him. But I think if they want to keep him, they sign him in free agency afterward. And that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel and you are a Habs fan looking for different kinds of Habs videos, then subscribe and ring that notifications bell. That's going to get you your daily fix of Blue, Blanc, Rouge right here at Talkin' Habs. Thanks for watching, everybody. Boy, this was a hard video to get through. Finally got to the end of it. Woo. Stay safe out there. Peace out, y'all. I'll see you next video. Couple of videos coming right after this, so check it out and see you then. Bye, everybody.